Hello everyone and welcome back to this next lecture. So in this lecture we're going to download and install Code Composer Studio. So for that you can just go over to any web browser. I'm using Google Chrome, but any web browser will do, and we can go to Texas Instruments. So we've already gone to this website in the previous lecture, or rather in the previous section, and we can come back here again. So to know where Code Composer Studio is, we use exactly the same approach as before. We go to the search bar and I will just type Code Composer Studio. And you get this here. It's a very common download. And this is it. So I'm going to open this in a new tab. So this is what we want. So this is an integrated development environment. So what that essentially means is this has an editor for writing code. You can compile your code, you can download it onto your microcontroller, and you can also perform some level of diagnostics. This is what an integrated development environment is, right? So the latest version at the time of making this video is Code Composer version 20. So let me go over to the downloads folder right here, and let's go over to download options. And you'll see these are the options I have. Now, as I already said, though Code Composer Studio is available for Linux and Mac OS, I would strongly recommend that you use one which is Windows, right? If, however, you are an expert Linux user or you really know your way around Mac OS, by all means go ahead. But remember, some of the drivers may have issues, especially in Linux, right? So again, if you're planning to use any of these, you might have to go and find help on your own on forums and so on and so forth, right? So I'm going to use the Windows because this is a Windows 11 machine. And I will start the download. So the download is pretty huge files. Like you see, it's almost 900 MB. So I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's done. So the download is finally completed. Let's come over here, have a look. You see here it is. So I'll go over to my file explorer. And I am now in my downloads folder. I'm going to use this downloads folder mostly during this course for storing all the documents that we download, storing any of the software that we download, and even maybe creating certain other files, right? Now, as we go ahead, I will show you the idea of a workspace and the fact that Code Composer Studio creates a workspace where all your projects are stored. And you can also find out where that is. So this is a 900 MB file. I'm going to extract it first. And this is the extracted file, or rather folder. So I'll go into it, and here you see there is a setup application file, right? So again, if you're in Windows, this is all you need to do, double click on it. If you're in Linux or Mac, there may be another process, please follow that. So this particular screen may not appear on the video, but this is essentially Windows asking me if I would like this application to make changes on my device. And the answer to that is yes, because I do want to install Code Composer Studio. So this is the setup. So I'm just going to click on next. I will accept the license agreement. If you're working in a company and you need to know, and you might have to ask your legal department if this is okay. So this just checks if everything is okay for a download. For example, if the operating system is okay, I believe Windows 10 and Windows 11 are supported. Maybe the older versions are not, and everything else, right? So I'm going to click on next, and you will see that this is where it installs the Texas Instruments Code Composer Studio. It is in TI in the C drive. You can change it if you want. I will leave it as it is. But if you're running out of space on C drive, or you do not have authorization to install anything on C drive, you can change it to something else. So now you see it lists out all the components which it wants to install. I would not recommend you to install all of them because it's a very large package. All we need are the C2000 real-time controllers. That's all we need. So I'm going to unselect everything else. Right? If you do want to play around with the other components, by all means choose them. But remember, your installation is going to be much larger. So make sure you have enough space on your hard drive. You may need something like 5 to 10 GB if you do decide to install all of them. So this installation process is going to be very long. So again, I'm going to pause the video and come back when it is done. And the installation is finally complete, and this is the final screen. So both of these are on, that is, it creates a desktop shortcut and it will launch Code Composer Studio. And we can leave both of them on because I would like to launch Code Composer Studio and show you what it is. So I'm going to click on the finish button and let's wait for Code Composer Studio to start up. So this is how it looks now. So as you can see, and if you're coming in from, like I said, the F28069 course, and if you used Code Composer version 12, you will notice that this is quite different. They're using more of a Visual Studio Code theme rather than the Eclipse theme, which is what version 12 was based on, right? So again, there are a lot of commonalities, and once we get started, I will start telling you about how you can create projects, how you can import projects, and several others, right? So I hope you got exactly this screen, and if you do minimize all the screens, you will see that there should also be a Code Composer Studio start icon, right? So there will also be some other things like Black Hawk, and I think these are to do with drivers which are installed when you install Code Composer Studio, because as I said, the operating system has to be able to communicate with your microcontroller, and several of those drivers are necessary and installed by default, right? Now in Windows, these are usually reasonably well maintained. In Linux, you might have to fight a little to install these drivers, right? So if any of this did not work, or you faced any other errors, or you could not download the software or something else, please post in the Q&A forum and I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you so much for listening and see you soon. Goodbye for now.